The sun had barely pushed over the horizon when the town of Silver Bend began to stir. The dust of yesterday's wind still clung to the windows, and the faint clink of pots from the diner mixed with the low hum of life waking up again. Inside Martha's diner, the smell of bacon and coffee filled the room. Behind the counter, Leela Grace, the saloon girl everyone in town knew by name, but few truly knew, was finishing her morning shift. Her hands smelled of soap and coffee beans, not whiskey and perfume like they did most nights at the Silver Spur Saloon. She worked double hours singing and serving by night, helping at the diner by morning just to pay rent on her tiny room above the blacksmith's shop. That morning, as she poured coffee for the regulars, the door opened and a stranger walked in. He wasn't a drifter exactly too clean for that, but not a polished gentleman either. His hat was dusted from travel, and his boots had seen miles of road. He walked with the kind of confidence that came from not needing to prove anything to anyone. Morning, he said, tipping his hat toward her. Morning. Leela replied with a polite smile. Coffee, please. He sat in the corner booth by the window, quiet and thoughtful. Leela noticed the way he scanned the town through the glass, like he was measuring it. She'd seen all kinds come through Silver Bend: miners, gamblers, lost boys running from their pasts, but this one didn't seem to be running. He seemed to be looking for something. When she brought his coffee, he smiled faintly. You work here long. Long enough to know everyone in this town, mister, she said, half teasing. That right? He took a sip of his coffee. Then maybe you can tell me what kind of place this is. Leela shrugged, adjusting the apron tied at her waist. Depends what you're looking for. For most folks, Silver Bend's a place you pass through. For others, it's the only home they've ever had. He nodded like he understood that well enough. When she brought his plate of eggs and biscuits, he reached for his pocket and froze. He patted his vest, his coat, then frowned. Well, I'll be. Problem? She asked. Seems my wallet's still in the saddlebag, he said, looking embarrassed. I can settle up soon as I go fetch it. There were a few snickers from the miners at the counter. They'd seen plenty of men try to eat on charm and empty promises. Leela shot them a sharp look before turning back to him. Don't worry about it. Breakfast is on me. He blinked. You sure? I'm sure. She smiled softly. Ain't the first time someone forgot their wallet. And I reckon you look like you could use a meal more than I could use the coins. For a long moment, he just looked at her like he couldn't quite believe what she'd said. Then he nodded slowly. Thank you, miss. Leela, she said, pouring him a fresh cup of coffee. Just Leela. Well, Miss Just Leela, he said, smiling now. You've got a kind heart. I'll make it up to you. I'll hold you to that, she said lightly, turning away before he could see the faint blush on her cheeks. By noon, the stranger was gone. He left no note, no name, and no trace except a clean plate and a folded napkin. Leela didn't think much of it. She'd helped worse-off men before, miners who'd lost everything, soldiers with nowhere to go. She didn't expect kindness to come back her way. But that evening, when she went to the Silver Spur, talk was already spreading like wildfire. Did you hear? The barkeep, Old Sam, whispered to her as she filled her tray. That feller you fed this morning, he's no ordinary cowboy. That's Cole Walker. Leela frowned. Never heard of him. Sam chuckled. Course you have. You just don't know it. He owns the Walker Cattle Company, half the territory from here to the Colorado border. Biggest rancher this side of the divide. Folks say he could buy this whole town twice and still have change left. Leela nearly dropped her tray. You're joking. Sam shook his head. Nope. Rode in this morning to check on land deeds and cattle lines. Guess he wanted to see how folks treat strangers. She stood still for a moment, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird. The quiet man who'd looked embarrassed about breakfast money. He was one of the wealthiest men in the West. Well, she said finally, forcing a laugh. Then I suppose I gave charity to a millionaire. Asterisk Sam grinned. Guess you did, and something tells me he won't forget it. Asterisk. Asterisk days passed. Leela didn't see him again, not in town. Not at the saloon. Nowhere. Asterisk. But she felt like someone was watching her sometimes. When she sang at night, she'd catch a glimpse of a figure near the door. Tall hat tilted low. Then he'd vanish before she could be sure. Asterisk, she told herself it was nonsense. Why would a man like him waste thought on her saloon girl with holes in her shoes and rent 3 days late? Asterisk then. One morning, a letter arrived. Asterisk, the paper was thick, the handwriting elegant and bold. Asterisk, greater than Miss Leela Grace. Asterisk, you once paid for a stranger's breakfast. That stranger owes you more than a few coins. If you're willing, I'd like to offer you a better position than the one you've got, one that won't have you serving whiskey to drunkards. Asterisk, meet me at the North Ridge tomorrow morning. Asterisk, C. Walker. Asterisk, her hands trembled as she folded the letter. Asterisk. Asterisk, the next morning, Leela rode out early, her heart pounding with both fear and hope. Asterisk, the North Ridge overlooked miles of golden grassland where the wind danced through the sage. And there he was, Cole Walker, standing beside a black stallion, hat in hand. Asterisk, morning. Miss Leela? He greeted her warmly. You came. Asterisk, I did, she said cautiously, though I still don't rightly understand why. Asterisk, he smiled. Because you showed kindness when you didn't have to. That kind of thing's rare these days. Asterisk, she looked away, her cheeks pink. Wasn't much, just breakfast. Asterisk, to me, it was more than that. He said quietly, most folks treat me different once they learn who I am. You didn't? Asterisk, he turned toward the open fields. This land, half of it's mine, but it's more than I can handle alone. I'm setting up a new homestead near the ridge. There'll be workers, a schoolhouse for their children, a proper kitchen for everyone. I need someone trustworthy to run it. Asterisk, her eyes widened. You're offering me a job? Asterisk, I'm offering you a life, he said. One that doesn't wear you down till there's nothing left. You'd be in charge of the ranch house. Fair pay, fair hours, and a place to call your own. Asterisk, Lila's throat tightened. Why me? Asterisk, he met her gaze steadily. Because you remind me what decency looks like. I don't meet much of that anymore. Asterisk, for a long moment, the only sound was the wind moving through the grass. Asterisk, finally, she said softly, you sure about this, Mr. Walker? Asterisk, I've never been more sure of anything. Asterisk. Asterisk, weeks turned into months. Leela took the job, though she couldn't quite believe it was real. Asterisk, she learned to manage the ranch house, plan meals for 20 workers, and even help with the books. The place began to feel like home, warm fires, laughter at supper, and long evenings under the stars. Asterisk, Cole often stopped by to check on things, but it wasn't long before those visits became something else entirely. They'd walk the pastures together at sunset, talking about everything and nothing. She'd tell him stories of her childhood, and he'd listen like every word mattered. Asterisk, one night, as they stood by the corral watching the horses settle, he said quietly, you ever think about leaving all this behind? Starting somewhere new? Asterisk, she smiled faintly, used to. But lately, I think maybe I already found what I was looking for. Asterisk, he looked at her then, really looked, and she felt her heart skip. Asterisk, he stepped closer, his voice low. Leela, I've had land, money, and power for years. None of it ever meant much. But you, he hesitated, emotion rough in his voice. You gave me a reason to care again. Asterisk, before she could answer, he took her hand gently. Asterisk, would you stay here with me? Asterisk, tears filled her eyes. Are you asking me to marry you, Mr. Walker? Asterisk, he smiled. I suppose I am. Asterisk. Asterisk, the following spring, the entire town gathered at the ridge for their wedding. The woman who once scrubbed floors at the saloon now stood in white lace beside the man who owned half the territory. Asterisk, when the preacher pronounced them husband and wife, the crowd cheered, and Cole leaned down to whisper, guess paying for breakfast was the best investment you ever made. Asterisk, Leela laughed through her tears. Guess it was. Asterisk. Asterisk, moral. Asterisk, a small act of kindness can change the course of 2 lives. True worth isn't measured by what we have, but by what we give even when no one's watching.